What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the TheComiCompodcast, Season 5, Episode 4, recording this on January 23rd. You are listening to this earliest on January 24th, whether you're listening to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, or on YouTube. But soon, the only place that you'll find us is on Spotify, because we made that one announcement last week, and we're going to be making an even bigger announcement tonight, but we're teasing that right now. So, you are listening to one of your hosts, Nemesis Prime. You all know me. I'm here on a weekly basis. Try not to be here missing it all. But my other guy, he's here. And we were talking Elden Ring in the background for a while, so that's why we should have just did that, like precursor and talk video games forever.
No, yeah. People are probably sick of us talking about Elden Ring. They're like, really, guys? Like, it's not even like it's a new game.
You guys are talking about the Elden Lords, aren't you?
Dude, I can't wait. I'm really excited to do the expand or like the DLC. That's because that's unplayed. I have never played that. So.
Oh yeah, the Shadow of the Erd Tree.
Yeah, so that'll be fun to kind of experience. I mean, I'm having fun right now replaying everything that I did, and it's cool. Especially it's more fun because you're playing, so I can like talk to you about it and everything. But it's not very challenging this time, to be honest. But I'm excited for Shadow of the Erd Tree. So
yeah, see, I don't know how long I'm going to be playing because like I have a month until Monster Hunter Wilds, and then that's it. My game is done, man.
I don't think Erd Tree is that long. I don't think it can't be that long. It's just.
I heard it's pretty decent. Like I heard it's don't. I mean, shit, it got nominated for Game of the Year. Like for the fact that if they can do a DLC and get that nominated for Game of the Year, it's got to be pretty big. And
well, mostly just play it, dude. You're not gonna. It's not like you're in a rush to play Monster Hunter. It's not like there's like you got to get in there first and things will get ruined for you.
No, but I mean, once Monster Hunter comes out, that's all I'm going to be playing this year. I try to play Marvel Rivals, and Jeff got me into Marvel Rivals, and I'll play like a game here and there, and then I realized why I hate it because it's just Overwatch. It's cool. Like, I mean, if you love Marvel characters, don't get me wrong, Marvel Rivals is probably the best game for you because you get to play any character. Every character has their own like class system. Some of them are tanks, some of them are healers, some of them are the mix in betweens. They got cool special abilities, but for the most part, it's like it's either deathmatch, control, King of the Hill, or push forward. It's very boring. Like it'd be cooler if it had like a Call of Duty type of thing where if you kind of like a kill streak and then you get your abilities or you get like a special ability instead of it just being like, well, it's coming up to it. You have to literally wait for it's 100%. So eventually everybody's going to get theirs in the match. And it's either you use it in the match or you wait till the round 2 where then it goes into another map. And then it's like, okay, well now I'm at 100%. I could use it like right off the bat. I usually save mine for, if it's coming close or I know we're definitely going to win just to see what sometimes some of them do because sometimes I get wrecked when I'm using mine. So, but it's whatever. I have some fun with some characters. I think main characters I like using Scarlet Witch. She's pretty dope. Venom's cool. Squirrel Girl's actually a lot of fun to use. And who's probably my fourth if I actually had to pick one? Probably Luna Snow because she's mostly a healer, but she can attack pretty well. So she's pretty badass. I'm actually surprised Scarlet Witch is more of an offensive character and not a healer. But give it a try. It's fun. Again, if you're a Marvel fan, you'd love it. If you didn't, shit. There's you know what I just found out this week? Do you remember the game DC Online Universe?
Yeah, I love that game.
They are actually still. So first of all, that's still going. Yeah. That's the first thing. Anyway, I played that on like PS3 or 4. And then I just found out this week that they're actually doing an expansion. They still make expansions for this game. There's still like more stories that they do and characters that they bring in. I'm like, man, I remember playing that like way back in the day.
Did you ever play City of Heroes?
Yeah, I knew that was coming next. Yes, I did play that.
That was a fun game too. And then they did the City of Villains.
Yeah.
That was a really fun game. I really enjoyed that one too. I wasn't very like at the time. I don't think I had like a computer that really like played it well, or even like I don't think my internet access was great. I might have been in college or something. I basically didn't have like when it was at its probably height. I didn't have the capabilities really to play the game, whether it was monetarily, maybe I couldn't afford it. I don't remember, but I remember when I played it and I was like, this is awesome. And I think it was kind of like the first game I ever decided like, I'm gonna be the healer because like it was with the healer character that everyone always wants you. You can always find a group because there's never
course.
enough with like being the and I was like, this is actually kind of cool. It's kind of fun. So
Yeah.
that was a really fun game, man. I
That
really
wa that's why I loved I'm telling you, and I've we've had this conversation, that's why I love Final Fantasy 11, like,
Mhm.
online. I can remember being I was working at EB Games, GameStop at the time, me and, like, one of my employees and then, like, 3 other guys who worked in another store, we would literally close the shop down, and we'd be playing that forever, and we each were different classes, so we
Yeah,
always knew we had a group, but if
right.
we weren't playing for the most part, I think, like, for the most part, we were always mages. So, and I would always switch in and out of characters. Like I would either have, I'd have always have two characters. I always had a white mage because
Mhm.
everybody needs a fucking white mage because of healing. You're right. And then I had a second character, which I eventually leveled up, and it was a dragoon because I just loved the dragoon class.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would just shout across the entire server like white mage looking for party, and everybody would
Yeah.
like, hey, join my team, join
Yeah.
my group because they know you know
That's
they
how it
need
was
you.
in World of Warcraft too. Yeah. Yeah. It was fun stuff, man.
I mean, I would love to go back and play like an MMO game, but I don't know if I could. I mean, I play Final Fantasy 14 on like the PlayStation still, but
Mhm.
it's I don't play with people like solo it and I just
Yeah.
kind of run through it. It's fun, don't get me wrong. And the same thing, like I play as a dragoon, so I have the spear and I can do the jumping abilities. And
I
but
always I like the idea of the MMO, but then it's also like there's just it's so time consuming. And then if you're not really like whether you're doing it solo, if you're just soloing, you're just sitting there grinding, you're going through the quest. And sometimes with like World of Warcraft, it was like dumb stuff like go kill 10 pigs or something like that. And you get your experience and it just kind of felt monotonous after a while.
mhm.
And I mean, there was times when I was zoned in and I loved it and I played for like a months, but I don't know. I don't know if I've got an MMO in me anymore, especially with like life. I don't think I've got the time to grind out an MMO.
No,
But
definitely
yeah,
not. It's tough to especially and just to get people, right? Like
yeah,
groups of friends or people be like, oh, hey, you want to play World of Warcraft? Or
yeah.
I played a ton. I played some game called Zion, Zion, for like 2 years. I had a cool ass character. It was fun because it was the first kind of game I mean, I played like EverQuest 2 and
Yeah.
but like this game you actually had wings. So at least you could like float and fly and it was a little bit more fun because it had like a little bit more of like a verticality type of gameplay where like you could
Mhm.
jump off of jump off something and float to something, right? So it kind of gave you that way to go. So
Yeah.
um
Like Elder Scrolls MMO, like same thing. I kind of just found
mhm.
myself always playing by myself anyway. So it was kind of like, why am I even on an MMO? Like I never was teaming up
Yeah.
with people. I was just kind of doing my own thing.
Plus, it was very vanilla. Like I remember playing that
Yeah.
vanilla, and it wasn't that great, but it's gotten a lot better, and it's still going. Just like
Mhm.
any of these on, like even like Fallout 76. Every now and then, I'll download that. I'll play it for a little bit. I don't have like a season pass, but I like
Yeah.
building my house in the world. It's fun. So, um, but yeah, so that's our video game talk for the night. But we're gonna kind of bring on somebody here. You've heard him here on the podcast before. We want to talk about it. We have some changes coming up, and he's on here to discuss everything. We have Tim from the Uncensored Nerds Network. Tim, what's
Hey
going
guys.
on, man?
What up, Tim?
So I clicked on the link and it was for another meeting.
Really?
So that's why I
Oh,
was
you probably did it a long time ago.
no, I was waiting. I was like, I'm like, what's going on? I'm like by myself there, and I was like, you're in the waiting room. The host can only see you. I'm like, I know they can see me picking my nose. So I'm like, what's going on in here? I'm like, yo, what's happening? And then I went back to the email. I was like, oh, I'm in the wrong one.
You went back in
Oh,
time for the
I
old one.
was. I had like 4 meetings today, man. Like I had 4 meetings. It's insane, man. So I didn't even have my clothes on. See, look at this. I feel naked. I don't have my
Ah, you got your
sweater.
short box shirt. Come on.
I
Yeah, that's
know,
okay.
man. I'm on my short box, one of the sponsors. So I mean, it's not bad, but still, I'm wearing a t-shirt and then I'm wearing a hat. That's Superman hat, but still, this
So,
is this is my casual. This is my casual wear, by the way.
Because
This is my
you're not used to doing. You weren't ready to have a podcast. You weren't really ready to jump on and enjoy
No,
the
because
Comic Con
I
podcast.
had no, because my plan was I was gonna go in a meeting. I was gonna go into those 2 meetings, and then after I go to those 2 meetings, I was gonna hop onto this. Well, what am I gonna wear my sweater for the other 2 meetings? It's just a meeting. It wasn't a podcast. So I was like, oh, okay. And then by the time that it was done, I was like, oh, I was like rushing here. And then I was like, those guys are making me wait. What's going on in here, man? And then I was like, oh, it's my fault. So
We had to
anyways.
put on our t-shirts, our sweatpants. Like I'm wearing sweatpants and a beanie and a throwaway t-shirt. It probably has like baby food on it somewhere, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, the twins and everything. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
How many kids do you have now?
3.
3?
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. I don't know how you can do it, man. I'm running around with my 2-year-old. That's like enough for me, man. Like, nope, done.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm on the potty training stage now. I don't know. Yeah, like
We're close behind you for our son. We're getting close. Yeah.
Yeah, the potty training stage. You know, somebody told me, who told me it was Daniel Scott from Scott's Collectibles. I did a podcast with him. It's gonna be out pretty soon. I was talking to him about kids because he has 2 kids, right? And I said that I'm in the potty training stage, and it's like it was like that kind of difficult stage, right? And he goes, I'm gonna give you one piece of advice. It doesn't matter whether they learn to potty train or not, you're still gonna be wiping that poop. So
yeah, right, for sure.
So for sure. If you think you're gonna potty train them and be like, oh, I'm not gonna wash the poop again. No, you're still washing that poop, man. So
no, the selling point is just not having to maybe purchase as many diapers. That's the selling point, dude.
You know,
saving money on diapers.
Yeah, the diapers. Yeah, that's the only selling point. I follow this lady that's just like a poop doctor for children, right? She
the poop podcast.
Yeah. It was great. I know Bluey last time. That was poop podcast.
Bluey,
so what you do is you can sit him, her down.
Him. Yeah.
Him. So you can sit him down and then give him a cup of water and a straw and have him blow on it. So they're having fun with it. So my wife called it something. It was a medical thing. I forgot what it's called. But essentially what happened is that when you're blowing on the cup of water through the straw, it loosens up
You're relaxing your sphincter, huh?
Yeah. So they'll just go. Yeah, give it a try. So for everyone listening, give it a try. Get some car.
Next time we're gonna take a shit, I'm gonna bring if I'm having some difficulty, I'm gonna bring a straw in there with a cup of water.
No, he lying. Please start blowing. Like, oh my
dude,
God.
It's for science, bro. It's all good.
That's good. That's good.
So you guys were in the middle of talking about Bluey?
No, we were talking about video games.
Yeah, we were talking video games before you jumped on. But you're here. You know, I know your time is precious. You know, we teased it last week for all of our listeners that starting soon we will be exclusively on Spotify only. But the bigger announcement is having you on here, and I feel like, you know, with you being on here, you know, let's talk of what's going on with, you know, Uncensored Nerd Podcast and the Comic-Con
So what's going to happen is that, yes, you guys are, I heard about the announcement that you guys can be exclusively going to be Spotify, which is, Spotify is great anyways. But not only exclusively Spotify, but on the Uncensored Nerds network, essentially with us here at Uncensored Nerds, which is opening up a broader and wider range too as well, right? So so for everybody who are in the know or not in the know yet, Uncensored Nerds have been around since 2017. That's when I first started the podcast, when I had my store in Miami. And as it went from 0 followers back then, and then had the benefits of the pandemic happening, to 60,000 followers, and currently right now exploded since last year. The current count is about 160,000 followers right now on Spotify alone, and about 124,000 on Instagram, and that is from like almost 8-9 years worth of work that we put in. And one of the things that I wanted to do is that I don't want to keep that followers and listeners just to myself, because I know how hard it is to actually get a podcast off the ground, especially a comic book podcast that is flooded with a lot of clout chasing people. Like a lot of them, because that's like dominant. If you're not making fun of somebody for no reason at all, then you're not going to get anywhere, right? But then again, historically, we know that clout chasing doesn't really get you anywhere, right? You have like a minimum of like 2-3 years at max to last until you find another clout to do, right? And then you just kind of have to keep chasing that. That's why it's clout chasing, right?
Absolutely.
You just have to keep chasing it to stay relevant, right? So podcasts like yourself and Beyond the Cape, another one that's going to be joining the network, and Plot Holes Pros that's joining the network. Those are the type of podcasts that, you know, that people should be listening to, that should have more exposure to, because you guys are actually talking about comic books, right? Yes, you can also be critical because that's just the way it works, right? You can't just be all happy all the time. Of course, you can be critical too as well, but you're not chasing clout. Does that make sense? And that type of podcast deserves to have a wider audience. And the way I look at things is that, why not join the network and you guys will have a wider audience too as well, right? And it will open up a lot of venues and you get more exposure. Those are the type of people that I want to join the network and have more exposure, right? Independent comic book artists trying to make it on Kickstarter, right? Comic book artists who are actually, yes, they are established, but they also want to get their message across, right? That's why we got issues, right? You can see on the interviews there that, yes, they've been around the industry for a while, but they also put a lot of work and a lot of like hours and themselves in their books. And a lot of people are resonating to that because it's just one of those things. It's very relatable, and you guys are very relatable, and I'm very excited that we're gonna get you guys in the network and get you guys exposed to a lot more people, and you know, add on a little bit more stuff too as well when it comes to like reviewing some books. I know you guys review weekly books. Maybe, you know, review some books weeks or months before it comes out. You know, get everyone excited for it too as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, that'll be great, man, and it'll be great. I'm pretty excited for it, man.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know, we appreciate it. You know, so as we talked about it last week, this is going to be starting in February. So, you know, Zach and I are still going to be doing, it's still going to be the Comic Con podcast. It's just going to be, you know, another show that's going to be on Uncensored Nerds Network. You know, it used to be Uncensored Nerds Podcast with Tim, but now it is a network. So we are basically, you know, we're going to be running our same show over there. So starting in February, you know, like Tim said, we are exclusive to Spotify. We will not be on. So if you are listening on iTunes, Google Podcast, wherever else, get yourself a Spotify account, because not
Oh, that's
only
great.
will you be able to hear Zach and I on a weekly basis, you're going to get to hear Tim, all, you know, how he does his interviews on, you know, We Got Issues, plus the Random Nerdy Podcast, plus the other podcasts that are going to be joining us. So it's going to be every day. It's going to basically be something different to listen to. And I'm excited for that because there are podcasts out there that do daily stuff. And the fact that we're all doing different things, we're not in anybody's, you know, we're not kind of,
Overlapping too much.
yeah, we're not judging for, you know, who's going to be here, who's going to be there. You know,
Yeah.
Tim's got the artists and the writers down. We're doing our reviews, we're talking articles. So it's going to be fun, you know, starting in February. So make sure you definitely check us out.
And if you
One-stop
guys,
shop for all the comic book news that you need. And
exactly,
information.
yeah, and if you guys like, you know, if anyone, everyone listening, you know, you guys know that you have a great podcast, you have a great content. I don't mind taking a look at it and see if we can do something to join the network too as well, right? You know, that's the thing. The ones of the requirements that I've always looked at, that's, you know, I just don't want the cloud chasing, because that's not going to lead anybody to anybody, right? And it kind of sucks because, like, again, Comic-Con podcast is another one. You know, if I didn't look hard enough, you know, I probably wouldn't see these guys, right? And then I started listening to these guys, and I'm like, why aren't these guys having more exposure? Why is these guys are not talking to more people? Why are they not this? And why? It's just a lot of whys. Then, you know, the way I look at it is like, what, instead of me asking why, I should ask myself, what can I do to help these type of podcasts? What can I do to help these guys, right? So I'm not about to just harbor all the followings and listeners that I've gathered through, right? And, you know, again, if we're in a sinking ship, you know, I might as well help everybody else to get out of this sinking ship, instead of me just harboring all this good stuff. And then I'll be like, yeah, well, you guys are on your own, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of stuff. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it's nice to, you know, it's funny to hear some cloud chasing, yeah, but you're not gonna get that from us, man. If you guys want real comic book news, some real comic book analysis, and some real thoughts, it'll be on that network there, right? Plus, you can get Spotify for free anyways, so why not, right? So yeah, most definitely, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to kind of try something new, be part of a family, so to speak, on an Uncensored Nerds network, see what doors open. But at the same time, it's still going to be the same old Zach and Justin doing our stuff. Maybe a little bit more polished, maybe a couple upgrades here and there. But yeah, this is going to be fun. It's a new era for us. Try something new, and hopefully you guys will come over with us.
I know I'm a little frozen, but I'm trying to fix that right now. Sorry, guys.
No, you're
Oh,
good.
yeah, all good, man.
But yeah, it's only audio, and then nobody wants to see my face, anyways. Don't worry.
Don't want to see your t-shirt, dude. You're just wearing that t-shirt.
He's gonna come back. He's gonna have a sweatshirt on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Three-piece suit.
I'm just gonna have a sweatshirt. No, I'm trying to log back in there for some reason. It won't let me
Just
in.
the top of a tux, dude. He doesn't put the pants on. It's just top of the tux.
I'm like going crazy in here trying to like log in and all that. So, but yeah, no, but go ahead. You guys take over. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it, guys. We've been talking to Tim about this for a couple months now, trying to plan out, find out, or iron out all the details and see how we're going to end up doing it. But like I said, in the long run, outside of not being on Apple or Google, there's really not going to be a lot of change. So you'll still find our content. Any suggestions? We're all, like most of Justin and I, if you guys have anything you want to hear more of or less of, please definitely reach out to us. We're always adaptable. But at the end of the day, Justin and I read comics, and that's what we like to talk about. So that's what we're going to continue to do. Read and review.
Yeah.
Talk to some artists and some writers. Same stuff, just different place.
Yeah. I'm back now, by the way. So I was what I want is that there is no change on the Comic Con podcast. There is not going to be any change in there in terms of what they do. Okay. That's one main thing that I would like, because I stress this to these guys too as well. It doesn't make sense for you guys to join a network for me to say, hey, could you make a change, this and this and that? Because the reason I want you guys to join the network is because you guys do what you do, and what you guys do, you guys do best at. So why would I step in and say, hey, maybe change a little bit on your this and this? That doesn't make any sense. You guys are neither a competitor or trying to take something away from me. Like not at all, right? So I have, yes, I could say like, yeah, maybe you could do this, but I'm not going to. That makes no sense. The moment that ever happens, that is the moment that I lose faith on the podcast or anything at all. Then why would I have you in the network, right? That doesn't make sense to me. The reason why I want you guys in the network, because you guys, what you guys do is amazing. Yeah, you get the information that you guys provide everybody is amazing, and there should be more people listening to that, right? So that's what the one thing that I want to hammer down to a lot of people. There is no change in terms of how they deliver stuff in there. The only thing that I can tell you is that, yes, I've been exposed and been in the industry for quite some time in there. Yes, there are some people that I have made friends with. The only change that you will see from these guys is that they're going to give you guys one hell of a review of books that doesn't even come out yet. That is insane, right? They're not going to tell you the full details, obviously.
We're going to read you panel to panel.
Yeah, there's NDAs there, guys. There's NDAs there, but they will be able to tease you guys on what big books are going to be coming. Here's what I will tell you, okay? And I told this to these guys already, what book, the first one that they're going to be probably going to be reviewing, and I'll reveal it right now. Just a little bit caveat for everyone. The Miranda brothers, if you guys know, they made that big book from Aftershock. Do you guys remember what that is?
It was great, and then it got canceled. It was such a good fucking read.
Yeah, because Aftershock went bankrupt.
Yeah.
It's called it's a book called We Live.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So the Miranda brothers came out with a book called We Live, and it was like amazing. Everybody loved it. Till this day, everybody loved it. They're coming back with a second book called The Blade Forger. If you guys heard my interview with them 2 months ago, they're coming back with that book called The Blade Forger, right? That book does not come out until March, but these guys will have an inside scoop on what that book is about in the next few weeks. I'm going to send them something. I'm not going to reveal it fully because there's some NDA, but I'm going to send them something. and they'll be able to let you guys know what they think about Blade Forger. And in my opinion, I've already seen and read it. It's fucking amazing. So
Awesome.
it's great, man. It's pretty epic. They have, I can tell you right now, based on the interview that I had with them, they have plans to make this even a bigger world. So these two have been they've been crafting this for a while, but you don't have to hear it from me. You're gonna hear it from these guys, man. That's the first one that they're gonna review for you guys. So that's gonna be something consistent, and that's the something new that you'll see at the Comic-Con podcast. They'll be able to review some books that hasn't even come out yet. Which is great, man. I mean, like, it's great for you, Justin and Zach. I mean, like, you guys, can you imagine reading a book before it even comes out? That's crazy, man. Like,
I love reading books.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We Live was such a good series, and then they did the Age of Palladia, right? That was the follow-up, and I was like a little confused on it, but it got the same. It had the same feel for it, and then Aftershock went under, and
went under. Well, they were telling me that if it wasn't for Relive, Aftershock would have gone bankrupt and everything. Like they kept that book kept Aftershock afloat for a little bit, I guess. I don't know what they're doing now, but it kept them afloat. So this one's going to be through Mad Cave. So it's again, it's
I like Mad Cave. I like everything Mad Cave's been doing the past couple of years. I think they're definitely a growing publisher in the industry, and from the Nottingham stuff to the Dick Tracy stuff to they're great.
They're great. They were based out of Miami. They used to come to my store, trying to like give me the books and all that stuff. I'm good acquaintances with Mark London. He's the owner and the operator for Mad Cave. Great guy, man. So probably have you guys like I'll probably introduce you guys to them too as well when I get a hold of them. They're all busy now, but whatever. They're too busy for me now. Whatever. But no, I'm excited for this new beginning for you guys. It's not really beginning, it's more of a continuation, this new continuation for you guys. I'm excited the fact that there's gonna be more people listening to you guys as there should be. And you know, there's going to be some other stuff that you can offer a lot of people too as well, right? So if you guys want to support Comic-Con podcast, we're going to have a Patreon pretty much coming up pretty soon. They can read some ads for you guys on ad breaks. And, you know, I believe we talked about this already, merch, right? You guys are designing merch?
Yes. Yeah. We got shirts as usual. We'll have some other stuff going on there.
Who's designing? Who's designing? You or Zach?
Oh, I always do. I always do the design stuff.
And then
he said that with like a sigh. He's like,
oh, I always do it. I love it. It's fine.
He does it, and then he asks me, "What do you think?" And I'm usually like, "Yeah, it looks cool."
Like, yeah, go forth with it, sir.
I'm pretty easy to please. Like, I'm never like, "Oh, you know what? The font is kind of crappy." Or something like that. Okay.
I don't know about this, Justin.
I'm not very creative, man. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't have the creative eye. I don't really like art. Is not. I'm like, oh, I love the placement there. You know, I'm just like, oh, I like that. Looks cool, or it doesn't look cool. Those are my two options: cool and not cool.
Cool and not cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's about it. To, you know, for more information, definitely follow Uncensored Nerds on Instagram. You can also go on our website. It's under construction right now just because of the restructuring. But you can sign up to our newsletter. It's there right now on uncensorednerds.com or uncensorednerdsnetwork.com. It's all there. You can sign up there, and you know, just keep up to date there. Again, you'll see that there's not much of a change, man. It'll be the exact same thing, and I'm pretty excited for you guys to join the network. I'm pretty excited working with you guys. It's gonna be great, man. It's gonna be great. And after this podcast, behind closed doors, I will tease a little bit this one is about 10-15% in the door, not too much, but it's 10-15% in the door. Hopefully we can get 100% in weeks, but it's 10-15% in the door that there is a big name a lot of people know that could possibly join the network. Could possibly join. Actually, I could how about this? I know I'm not on camera right now, but what if I do this. I'll tell you guys right now on Instagram.
Or do it in the
the
private chat.
Yeah, put it in the private chat so Zach and I can.
There's a private chat there, isn't there? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
how
right.
that's how you talk without telling people that you really want to talk.
Well, no, I don't have it. Okay, hold on. No, I'll just do it on Instagram because I don't have my keyboard here. I'm gonna have to stand up again. Well, actually, I'm not on camera. It's not like you can see me standing up. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on.
This guy's gonna do flips over there. But yeah, so like as Tim said, if you're not already following, please follow Uncensored Nerds on Instagram and on Spotify. Sign up for the newsletter for Uncensored Nerds on their website. You'll find everything. Oh, okay, interesting. Interesting. All right.
Is it? I mean, like you guys follow him too, right?
Yeah. We've had he's been here.
Well,
I shouldn't say he. That person has been here.
Yeah,
yeah, dude.
No
pronouns, bro. We don't have to do pronouns anymore.
Yeah, we don't have to do pronouns.
You're safe.
But yeah,
pronouns.
Please, things are changing, but things aren't changing. It's almost it's a relaunch. Marvel's done it. DC's done it.
What? All new,
all new,
not different. All new, not
rebirth.
Rebirth.
Comic-Con podcast, new 52. I don't know, because we do weekly podcasts, so we have 52 episodes. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
That's right, dude. Yeah.
It's a little bit of everything. So Tim, thanks so much for jumping on here, making the announcement. We are so happy to be joining onto the network, coming on in February. So again, if you're listening to this and you're wondering why there's no more episodes on our channel, on your normal listening, wherever podcasts that you listen to us, it's because we are somewhere else. We are joined a network of podcasts.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, it's gonna be in February. So there's still gonna be a couple more of your guys' episodes coming up, and then maybe like a goodbye episode. I don't know.
And you'll still be able to find our old episodes. We'll still be,
of course.
If you ever want to go through the archives, you'll still find us on Spotify. So check those out. Give them a read through to find our history.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's all canon. It's all canon.
So much.
Yeah.
And,
so again, websites there, Instagrams there, and I'm pretty excited for you guys. So I figure I'd just stop by in here and say that and interrupt everything you guys are doing and talk about poop and stuff.
Don't worry. Yeah. That's kind of normal.
Yeah.
And there's stuff. So thank you so much, sir. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Take care, Tim. Tim from the Uncensored Nerds Podcast Network. Network. So yeah, boys and girls, that is the big news. That is the big announcement going forward for us. Like Tim said, like Zach said, we're and I said, we're all super excited for this. It's going to be some changes, but you're still going to hear us on a weekly basis. So let's kick it as usual. Let's get right into some stuff. Of course, real quick, the community stuff, always with the community. The King Kong show, March 22nd, 2025. That is literally 2 months away, folks. That is 2 months away at the APA Hotel in Island, New Jersey. We will be set up there with our buddy V. Ken Marion, who we've already talked to. He'll be jumping on the new show in early March. So be sure that you're listening. If you're joining that show and you want a podcast or a pre-commission from him, we will get it. Fucking Zach. Ken will definitely do some commissions because Ken, I know, is working on a commission for me. I'm super excited to pick that up come March and see him because it's been a while since I got a chance to hang out with him. It's been, I guess, New York Comic-Con and even Terrific-Con before that. So APA Hotel, March 22nd, King Kong, one of our favorite shows, a very good community show.
I'm gonna try. See what I can do. If I can make it up.
Listen, if it's not that, Heroes Con, man, I will make my way.
That's in June, right?
Yeah,
that's in June.
Like, the week before. I think that now they switched it. It's like the week before Father's Day.
Yeah,
because it used to be the same weekend as Father's Day, and they moved it before. So
yeah. Actually, I do remember it being on Father's Day. I believe this past year. That was kind of one of the problems. Yeah, we'll see what's up. I might be able to make it up for a day. It depends on how we get this routine down with these 3 kids.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
See how it goes.
All right, let's kind of kick into some articles. Some stuff going on at DC. Like I said earlier, there's a DC rebirth or new 52 relaunch of Comic-Con podcast. So first up, this is over at DC comics.com. So DC reveals details on its Summer of Superman publishing initiative. So, of course, coming this summer, we have the Superman movie. And with that being said, there is a ton of stuff announcing for the publishing, featuring a full lineup of comic books, graphic novels for fans of all ages. Summer of Superman celebrates the Man of Steel's enduring legacy as a pop culture icon and a symbol of truth, justice, and hope. And his first comic book appearance in the historic Action Comics #1 from 1938. So, making a big splash, Superman Unlimited is coming out. Acclaimed writer Dan Slott joins storytelling heavyweights Mark Waid, Joshua Williamson, and Jorge Jimenez for the Summer of Superman special, arriving at participating comic shops Wednesday, August 16th. Other than that, we also have the Superman 25, which is going to be brought to you continuously by my man, Dan Mora, and Joshua Williamson from last year. Continuing, you have Superman The World coming out June 24th. We have Superman's Good Guy Gang, which is more of a kid's book. That drops on July 1st. Starting off the initiative in the Action Comics world is Action Comics 1085. So celebrate Superman, the Man of Steel Day, starting April 18th. And in celebration of his birthday, DC has curated an epically heroic and heartwarming list of titles featuring the Man of Steel coming out. You're going to get the All-Star Superman Deluxe, Superman Unchained, All-Star Superman #1, Superman for All Seasons, an excerpt from the upcoming young graphic novel Jimmy Olsen's Super Cyclopedia. That's right, I said that. And Action Comics #1 Golden Age facsimile for the first time. So, be sure to be there for the Summer of Superman, and it's not the Summer of Symbiotes, because I know Zach hates that. Looking forward, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell. Obviously we have. James Gunn's Superman comes out this year, right? I always forget these things.
Yeah, man. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, everything's kind of ramping up. You knew it was going to happen, right? And that's good, dude. Like, Superman's a character who can be done great, and I like the list of writers that they have here. The return of Lex Luthor. I stopped reading the Superman and Action Comics titles like a while ago. I know last thing I kind of read, like Lex Luthor was in some kind of like, I don't like he lost his memory or he didn't remember who he was.
Yeah, that was due to the House of Brainiac.
Yeah, so he's just kind of been like this other Lex who's like no ties with his background, which kind of is very much. When I read it, I was like, this is like the Norman Osborn thing, I mean, whatever. So it'll be cool to see Lex come back, as it's implying in some of the artwork of him back in his suit and actually fighting Superman. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great stuff. Superman's awesome. And I'm excited for all the new stuff that's going to be coming forward with that.
Yeah.
The deluxe books are awesome too. Like All-Star Superman. Have you ever read All-Star Superman?
Yeah.
Back when it was like that was like DC's first answer to Marvel's Ultimate Universe. They did their All-Star like little title imprint that just didn't really go anywhere. But the All-Star Superman stuff was great. So definitely
all of them were good. I loved
Superman
All-Star Batman and Robin.
Too.
Yeah, All-Star Batman and Robin.
Yeah, the Boy Wonder. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah,
by Jim Lee, man. The art, and that was good. And then it kind of just ended abruptly. Like it
had some delays, was a big problem. And then they had some other things they were going to do, right? They were supposed to be like a Batgirl spinoff. There was a whole plan, and I don't remember what happened or why it kind of like all fell to shit, but it did.
I feel like it came out right before like Flashpoint, because it was definitely before New 52.
Oh yeah, way before, yeah.
But yeah, they did the All-Star Superman movie. They did based off of the comic book, which is about 10 issues, and the same thing. It was a good challenge for Superman to go like what's happening in his world, especially with like Lois and Luthor and everything that happens in that series. So, but yeah, if you've never gotten a chance to read All-Star Superman, and I think part of it is based on James Gunn's movie that's coming out this year. Like I know that's kind of one of the reference points. So if you've never read it, now's a good time to kind of pick up the trade, or even if you find, all 10 issues, sometimes you can find like a set pretty cheap. And it's definitely a desirable read for
Grant Morrison. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's kind of stick with some DC stuff. This is sticking in with the DC All In event. So DC teases its All In first event. Just revealed that it's first in all in crossover event. So per DC Comics, this summer will mark the very first crossover event since the launch of the publisher's all-new initiative. The 6-part crossover entitled We Are Yesterday will play out through the month of April, with the first 3 chapters taking place in the pages of Batman Superman World's Finest 38, the 2005 annual for the same title, and Justice League Unlimited number 6. These 3 issues will be available in connecting covers courtesy of Dan Mora, along with a bunch of other artists. With that being said, the crossover event is slated to helm by fan favorite Mark Waid. Okay, we all know what's going on with Mark, who will be working alongside a whole host of co-writers, artists to bring the story of dozens of comic book pages to life. Things are being set for April 16th, with Gorilla Grodd taking center stage in the pages of Superman. Huh?
I thought that was kind of strange. It really it feels like Grodd's popping up a lot, right? We know he's coming up in the Absolute Flash, and now he's going to be kind of taking center stage here.
They've teased him in Creature Commandos. People are saying that he's possibly going to be in like Superman in like a scene or two. But so the official synopsis for this issue reads that the Man of Steel and the Dark Knight will be hard pressed as it is to keep up with the psychic powers of DC's Sinister Simian. But by the time there's something different, as if Grodd has the knowledge of the future, and it remains to be seen what any of it has done to do with the death of Darkseid. So that's part 1. The second part will cross over into the Justice League Unlimited, and the third part will be in the Batman Superman World's Finest, the 2025 annual. So and that actually has a pretty awesome synopsis of the secret origin of the Legion of Doom is finally being revealed, and DC's worst supervillains have set in motion a scheme to lay waste to Batman, Superman, and the Justice League Unlimited. So it's starting off with Grodd, going right into with the Legion of Doom. We're going to see a lot of cool stuff with this first kickoff event, because this is, like they said, the first crossover event for this all new initiative that started right after the House of Brainiac, right after Absolute Power. So, and if you're not reading any of the DC stuff, I mean, now is kind of a good jumping on point as these new writers and artists are getting picked on to write and also pencil this stuff. So, what are your thoughts on Grodd kind of taking center stage?
A little indifferent. I've never been a massive Grodd fan. I'm not like a Grodd hater by any means. I don't know. It's kind of a one-dimensional character. It's a gorilla with psychic powers. Never really understood. I don't know. I like Grodd. I don't think he's good as like a Flash villain for sure. I don't really know if he's Justice League material, but he's given people trouble in the past, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I like Grodd more as like a team Legion of Doom type situation than like as himself. But hey, prove me wrong. Like I said, I'm not a hater of Grodd. I don't know. I've never read a great Grodd story, I guess, to make me a fan.
He had some good stuff in the New 52 Flash, but again, we talked about this last week. There's certain villains that just haven't had big center points or big crossover events, and this is not like a huge one, right? Like it's not a
6 issues. It's not too bad. Yeah, it's
something good. It's something different for Grodd, being able to kind of see the future. So we'll see what happens with him. I mean, it takes him right. There's nothing. Yeah, there's the Justice League. So yes, Flash is there, but for the main point, it's Batman and Superman, which is something different, right? It's taking a normal villain that is typically in the Flash, and completely throwing that out the door and giving you Superman
main rogue. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that's it from the DC side. Let's kind of rip it right into some comic book reviews for the rest of the episode. What do you got this week, sir?
Yeah, it was a pretty good week. Trying to see what kind of. I like the week. I don't know if there was anything that really stood out. Let's kind of talk about Justice League Unlimited since we're kind of on that topic. I'm enjoying this title. It is kind of the flagship title, obviously, of this whole all-in Justice League. Everyone's on the watchtower. I feel like it somewhat suffers a little bit from too many side stories. And it does feel like it is very much like the nexus of the all-in. And so they're putting breadcrumbs everywhere that you're seeing play out in different stories. Like with the Question, you have the Atom Project stuff. So you're seeing things like that. And I get the idea. It is obviously DC wants to be like, hey, you want to hear the whole story, you got to read all the different books. And so, but I definitely
did you read the Atom Project? That's the only one. I didn't read that one.
Yeah, I like that. I'm actually really
I heard it was very good, but
yeah, it's cool. It's a cool concept, cool characters, and you're really focusing on the power switching. So it's been good. So I don't know. The Justice League Unlimited, it was cool, but because of that, I feel like because of all these different Easter eggs or breadcrumbs they're putting out. I'm not really like they're like, oh, Inferno. Like, I'm like, what? Okay. Like, you barely have talked about this. Like, it doesn't seem like a massive threat to me yet. So, it was good. I mean, it's not too bad. Other books, oh, okay. This is a really good one. Not pick of the week by any means, but the Wolverine Wolverine Revenge Red Band edition, right? So we talked about this a couple times. Alt world, asteroid M crashed. Like, all the electricity went out, blah blah blah. New Brotherhood of Mutants kind of came, and Wolverine, Winter Soldier, and Captain America tried to fight him, and those two dudes died, and which Wolverine survived. It ended up being Mastermind, Colossus, Deadpool, Omega Red, and Sabretooth, right? So he was on like a revenge mission. That's kind of what we saw in the first 3 issues, and taking out all these different people, kind of getting revenge here. And in this one, it's kind of a fast forward. So it's a little bit in the future. They've banded together, and they've got like whoever's left kind of has like a plan, or I mean, a city that they're running. Forge is kind of Wolverine's like main dude, and Wolverine disappears, and you see that it's kind of dark. Did you read this one?
Yeah, I read it.
It's kind of dark, right? So he's got Sabretooth, and he's messing with Sabretooth. It's kind of a real flip on the paradigm between, Sabretooth and Wolverine, the yearly meetings, and it's definitely a flip, and you'll see what happens. And we see kind of like another introduction somewhat of some other characters we saw in like the Remender X-Force run kind of show back up in this universe. And then a tease at the end on another character who's looking for some revenge on Wolverine. So really cool stuff. I'm enjoying the Red Band titles, especially on like the characters they've been picking. I actually just read the Elektra Unleash as well today. And I know it's a couple weeks old at this point, but also another great character to do the Red Band on, like Wolverine, Elektra, Deadpool. Who else did we see Red Band on? Blade, Manwolf, I think. Werewolf by Night.
Yep.
So yeah, so that was a good book. Looking through the list here. Wolverine's okay. You could pick up a little bit. I want to come back to this. I want to talk about this a little bit later. Let's talk about Terminator when you're done with your list too. Let's talk about that. And then I guess if I'm going to pick my pick of the week, dude, Hyde Street is just so good. It's just so good, right? Like,
yeah.
Hold on. Let me come back to that. Let me talk about something that I don't feel like is very good. Because it's in on a happy note for me. House of Slaughter. I don't know, dude. Like, it's just not interesting. And I do kind of like how they brought these 3 characters that we saw the stories about. But I'm just not like, I don't have any, I don't know. There's nothing like, I have no skin in the game with these guys. And like, I don't find it very interesting. Honestly, like, I feel like the story is not very strong. And kind of like, what's going on? Like, this seems weird. I don't know, man. I feel like the Slaughter universe, it has so much potential. There's so much lore, and I feel like they never get into it ever. Like, all you ever see is the obscurus, or what they call obscure besides, or whatever.
Oh yeah, I can't think of it.
That's the only monster we ever see. The only one we ever see. Only one. And there's a whole handbook that they put out with like dragons and different kinds of things, and you never see these things. You never do. It's always like internal politics with like the Slaughter, like, oh, the white masks are up against the black masks. That's all we ever see. And we never see monsters. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, when are we going to actually see some monsters? Go fight some monsters that don't look like bugs. Everyone looks like a bug with like 9 eyes. Like, come on, dude. Like, I'm getting a little like worn out with the Slaughterverse. Like I said, even House of Slaughter, Something's Killing the Children. Erica going on this like road trip, where nothing occurs. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. So that's my rant on the Slaughterverse, so to speak.
So would you say that's your hot garbage of the week?
It wasn't garbage. The saving grace for me with that title is the fact that we actually get to see a little bit more into like the red masks and the azure masks. Like, that's the shit I want to see. Like, build on the lore. Like, oh my God, how many times do I have to see like 20 white masks and we have this one lone black mask? Like, how many times do I have to see that? Show me the other masks. You have this whole universe, build on it and explore it. So that's kind of the only thing where I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. I like the narrative, the point of view from the Azure mask, which is something we hadn't really seen yet, but it hasn't been super strong. So no, not hot garbage, just disappointing.
Underwhelming. Yeah.
Yes, like they could be so much better. And but anyway, pick of the week, Hyde Street. Ghost Machine. I mean, Jesus, dude. Like, could they do anything wrong? So it's kind of like it's funny because it's a Christmas novel. It's a Christmas like themed story here, and we're
Yeah,
like
100%.
4 weeks past Christmas, right? But just to give you an idea, we're back to it's only issue 3, right? We've had kind of 4 issues because we had the one shot Devour, but first issue we had Mr. X-Ray, second issue we had Pranky, and this issue kind of brings it back to Mr. X-Ray, but also still has Pranky as well. So in a nutshell, they're going up against this dude who's like a bad thief dressed like Santa, stealing things from people's houses, right? So he's stealing their stuff, ruin kids' dreams of Santa, and just all around POS bad guy. But we get a little bit more history between Pranky and Mr. X-Ray and kind of like what's going on with them. We kind of get more into Mr. X-Ray's like thought process as well as Pranky's. Like Pranky's like, I'm not trying to leave here. Like I want to stay. I like it here, you know? But dude, it's just so good. Like the universe is just like, it's building. We get an introduction of a new character we're going to have next week or next month, who's going to be cool. And that's the thing, like keep building, right? Keep building, give us more characters. So yeah, so strong. Artwork's great. That's just so good. Page quality too, dude. Like the pages on these books are legit. Like they're thick. The colors pop. They didn't, you know, like it's really, really nice page quality for whatever that means to some people. But
no, it definitely is. One of my favorite panel, and this is not really a spoiler, but when Pranky's sitting in front of the snowman and he's just kind of sitting there and there's like the knife that's stuck in the snowman's like stomach, and he just has like a weird grin on his face. It's just like such a demonic classic, like a Joker thing. Like and he's just so it's just such a cool little panel that they have for that. But yeah, and you get a little bit of personal stuff going on with Mr. X-Ray, right?
Yeah,
you get a little bit of stuff that went on in his past.
A little bit more.
I do like his office. Like he has all things like in his office that are kind of monsterish related, and
all the stuff he sold, all the like the cons he ran, pretty much. To like haunt him, kind of, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
So
good. Yeah, definitely. Hyde Street was absolutely up there as far as a read this week. So yeah, let me go through mine. So you know, obviously we were talking about all the Superman stuff this week. You had Superman 22. Again, I still love this series. You know, Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora. So we're finally getting into the Doomsday stuff. You know, this has been a tease for about a year now. So some like secret alien strike force team comes and like kind of basically tells Superman that they want Doomsday, and if he allows them to take Doomsday, he'll never have to worry about it. He'll never have to fear him or fear that Doomsday will come back. Superman kind of is like, that's never going to happen. Like I'm always going to have to worry about this, and eventually he gives in. He's like, forget this. I'm not doing this. These aliens come and attack Metropolis. The entire Metropolis Superman family is there. They're fighting this alien force, and then somehow Doomsday is also there to fight, and it kind of has some cool stuff going on. And you get a character that was brought up a couple months back that kind of shows up again, who is the Time Rapper. His name is. He's a really cool character. You really have to see it, like who it is, I guess, behind the scenes. So Superman 22 definitely up there on my list for good reads. Ultimate Spider-Man 13. Solid issue. What's weird is I was like, wait, did I miss an issue? So because of the whole thing that happens with Peter's son.
It's because the last issue was kind of like that filler, but it did feel like it wasn't like where we left off on that Christmas issue, and then this one it did kind of
it was such a time jump, but they say it's been 2 months, so I get it. But yeah, you have two stories now running. You have Peter's son and Black Cat on one side, and then you have what's going on with the Sinister Six and Peter and Harry, which is teasing a lot more of the Ultimate Universe, right? I mean, there's a panel that you get to see the Devil Dinosaur, you see Sauron.
Yeah.
So you get the Savage Land. So
Very,
Mole Man's in there. So
very
there's
Hunger Games-esque, right? Like
yes.
what's getting ready to happen. Blade Runner, or not Blade Runner. What was the movie with it's an old movie with Ice-T, Surviving the Game, I think is what it's called. And they were
Well,
like,
there's that. I was thinking of The Running Man
it's
too.
like The Running Man as well, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
obviously,
Frozen.
yeah,
Greatest lines in the world are Arnold from The Running Man. Oh my god, it's the cheesiest
yeah,
script
it's
ever.
so bad, so bad. Phoenix, another solid,
Yeah.
continuing that run. If you're not reading Phoenix, again, it's just been building kind of her team. You have her, Carol Danvers, Rocket Raccoon, Nova, and Sif, all that fighting Thanos and the Black Order, and what's going on there. And then you have another character that was introduced earlier on in the series who kind of comes in as taking over the Phoenix Force for certain reasons. But I love the Phoenix series. I think it's the art's done so well, and it's Jean. You
Mhm.
you get so much for her to be on her own, to be in her own series is so great, and you get all these characters that typically are on teams. You get
Yeah.
Rocket, who's normally on a team, but he's doing his thing with them, so it's fun. Um, other than that, I guess yeah, we could talk Terminator. I do have two other books, but Terminator
Yeah.
number 4 came out. Uh, it was weird when I was reading this issue. I
Mhm.
didn't know who was going to be the Terminator this entire.
Right.
It was
What's your
very strange.
what's your thoughts on this run so far? We're 4 issues in, right? This is the 4th issue, right?
Yes.
We're 4 issues in. Do you really know what's going on?
So from what the synopsis of like well before like even when we talked about this series coming out, it was just the Terminators were being sent back in time at different times to take out generals
Key targets, right? Yeah.
yes. So in this issue, it's not so much a key target, it's something with computer data.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's happening here. But yeah, you're not really given too much information. I always feel like
Every
I
issue is
felt
like standalone, and
yes,
there's that weird story at the end.
yes, which will finally conclude next month. And
Yeah.
maybe what'll happen is that'll kind of conclude and maybe that'll start off like the
Tie
next
them all
story
in
arc.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. I always feel like we should have a kind of like a foreshadowing or
Like the
what's the
recap.
no, what's it called with like when people do like an opening note in a book, like if you have somebody
Like an intro, like a prologue.
no, like a forward,
Okay, a forward. Yeah.
yeah, of having like let's just say John Connor and him talking about stuff, right?
Hmm.
I feel
Okay.
like that's how each issue should kind of start. I feel like it would give it more gravitas like towards that issue, especially what's going on post,
Yeah.
like Judgment Day and everything that's happened. So,
Because I feel like
um,
with the other issues, obviously this wasn't really about like a person as a target. It was about that
yep.
like CPU. But
Mhm.
it's like it's hard to care about those characters because I don't really know what their importance is, right? So it's like this weird situation, like, hey, the Terminators are being sent back to. It's like Terminators are sent back to kill John Smith. I'm like, but you don't know why, who's John Smith, what's his importance, and so it's hard to be like, okay, like the Vietnam story. It was like this Terminator was in Vietnam and he was like roaming around trying to kill this one soldier, and then he got away. And okay, but
Mhm.
like, why? What's the deal? Like, who is this guy? And I mean, I'm sure I hope we'll find out, but it's been slow. And I haven't found there to be like a strong connector yet to like really for the buy-in. But I don't know. I'm a little underwhelmed with it as well. I'm enjoying it moderately, but it needs to go somewhere for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely not the strongest of all the Dynamite titles that are out, but being Terminator fans, I think there
Yeah,
could be more, and I
that's
think
it.
it'll change.
Yeah,
It'll
I hope
definitely
so.
change. So, just some quick things. So, a title that we never talked about, but I'm finally just kind of catching up on is TMNT Night Watcher number 5 came out
Mm,
this week.
yeah.
Are you? Did you read the series? Are you
I've been
reading this?
reading it. I haven't read this issue, but this is the Jenica. I've been reading all the TMNT stuff.
So yeah, like since I knew it wasn't going to be Raph
Mhm.
from Night Watcher from the movie, right? I'm like, who else has this got to be, right? And it's
Yeah.
pretty much a choice of either
Oh
Mona
yeah.
Lisa or Jenica, right? Those
Right.
are the two choices. I didn't even think that it was going to be her, like at all.
Oh really? I mean,
Yeah,
issue 1, you find out it's her like early.
I feel like I was just like, I didn't even realize that as like I'm reading. I'm like, I
Yeah.
didn't even realize it was her that entire time until like this when she finally like takes off the mask and there's like a whole big scene about it. But whatever. So yeah, there's that this week, and the same thing. You have the TMNT Naruto crossover. Still another solid read if you're a fan of anime and the TMNT stuff. Last week, 2 books left over. Well, 1 book left over from last week was Feral #9. Still
Yeah.
solid story. You know, the cat stuff. You know, very
Creepy
family
cat lady.
homegrown.
That was that's the best part. It's like, you're gonna do a cat story, right? You got to have a creepy cat lady at some point.
Oh
Right?
yeah. She
So,
was definitely the creepiest when you finally got to see her face after 2 or 3 issues. So
yeah.
I finally caught up, you know, when we had Anthony Hahn on here at the end of last year, finally caught up with In Bloom. So issue 2 came out this week. So I finally got a copy of issue 1. Solid series, very interesting. Whole idea where these people they're in bloom, which kind of changes them. They metamorphosize a little bit. So it's something that happens. It's, you know, not like a virus. Some people don't want to do it. Things change. Some people go, they look creepy as hell. You know, it's definitely like the Last of Us, but some people get worse, like really crazy. The main character, he's someone who doesn't want it to happen to him. He's a cop. He's dealing with it's a very political thing too, because obviously you have the people who are the anti In Bloom. You know, they're no, you shouldn't change. Like, this is a government thing. The government's done all this. That's why everyone's it's very political. So, but the first 2 issues were solid. Definitely get a chance if you get it on Boom Studios. Last but not least, not my pick of the week, but actually it's something close to my pick of the week. Of course, I always talk about the Epitaphs from the Abyss. So number 7 came out this week. Your solid standard horror stuff. And what was interesting is I didn't know about this series, but at the end of the issue, when I was reading it, I didn't realize that they came out with a spin-off series called Cruel Kingdom. And it's a dark fantasy anthology that has like magic, murder, and dragons, and story, fairy tale land world stuff. And like, you would definitely like it. So it actually came out like 2 weeks ago. It's called Cruel Kingdom. There's 4 stories in it. The first one has this it's like a very futuristic, like Robo King, but like in a King Arthur type of tale. The second story revolves around Lord of the Rings. It's, swear to God, dude, if you please pick up the series or read it, it's basically like if aliens, like if us as astronauts went to like the Shire, and there's like a Bilbo Baggins character and there's a Gandalf character, and they actually have what looks like to be the Palantheon. So
the Palantir?
The Palantir, yeah, I'm sorry, the Palantir. And you know, these astronauts, they come to this place and they say, well, you know, we could save you from the dragon. So they kind of put up these shields. So their whole idea is like conquering, but helping them to make sure the dragons don't get through these shields. The final 2 stories, but again, it's also very horror-esque but it's told differently because it's more of like myth and magic, right? Than the normal Tales of the Abyss. The final 2 stories, one is like a Sleeping Beauty. It's kind of like post what would happen to Sleeping Beauty with the dwarves. Like, okay, so Sleeping Beauty now gets to marry the prince, and you know, time goes on. So what happens to the dwarves, right? Like, how do their lives happen, or what happens with their lives? So there's that storyline, and then the 4th storyline, it's a God, if I can remember off to there's like 3 or the 4th one is like the Sword and the Stone, right? Kind of. I mean, you could kind of make it be like King Arthur, but it's more of like Sword in the Stone for what would happen to bring about a new age of like the world. Like, who can take the sword out of the stone, but again, it has like horror feel to it. So definitely recommend it if you're not reading the stuff over from Oni Press and EC Comics. So check out Cruel Kingdom #1. Was my pick of the week from a few weeks ago. So, and you got different writers, obviously. Al Ewing's on one, Greg Pak, and Charles Soule are, I remember 3 of the writers on there, but there's one more as well. So
real quick, 2 storylines also. I'm still reading, I don't know, I can't remember if you said you gave up on it. I'm still reading the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man.
I tried to read this week's, yes, with Black Cat. But I know next it's kind of changing into the X-Men, right?
Yeah, it got a little interesting this week because the way Spider-Man handled the past battle he did. And then now I do like the idea. Definitely going to finish these. I'm too far in this point to quit it.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm not like,
but But then that's kind of what I was saying from the beginning too. Was like, how are you going to talk about Cytorak without the Juggernaut, right? So that should be pretty cool. So it wasn't too bad, man. It's we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out there. And then the last one I forgot to talk about was the Star Wars Battle of Jakku, right? I mean, like, could it have been like more anticlimactic? Like, just this whole Battle of Jakku themed, like four-part minis or whatever, were just so meh. Like, just nothing happened, dude. I mean, back and forth and back and forth, and like characters that I don't care about were like not interesting at all. Even the characters you do care about weren't interesting. Like Luke did nothing cool. Han did nothing cool. Was barely around. Lando just flew around like an asshole. There really was nothing cool about this Battle of Jakku stuff, right? Like the only thing I actually enjoyed, which moderate spoiler, maybe, I guess, I don't know, was at the end, one of the final panels, one of the Empire dudes, as he was dying, was like telling the other, like another Empire chick, basically like go to what's it, Exelith or whatever, and like find out about
Exegol.
like Exegol, yeah, and like find out about like Palpatine, like that kind of like hinted at like, hey, go out here, you'll find more about the Empire. So that was kind of cool. It was like finally sort of tied it into, you know, the movies or like the canon stories, but yeah, dude, I don't know. And then I'll tell you what, I got excited because at the end there was like an ad for a new Star Wars book, and I was like, oh, cool. And it was like Star Wars: A New Legacy, and I was like, oh, so this will be the ongoing moving forward. And the cover is pretty cool. It's got like Bayard on it, Afra, BB or 000, and oh gosh, the bad C3PO.
BB, B3
Yeah.
and B3 and 000.
000, yeah. Anyways, it's a cool cover, Son of Staros and Darth Momin. Everyone's like, oh, cool. This is going to be like, now we're going to get what's happened afterwards. We'll kind of get some stuff in between that and like Mando. And then I went to it comes out next week. It's a stupid one-shot issue. Celebrate 10 years of Marvel Star Wars comics with all new stories by some of the most influential creators of the decade. Thrill is Darth Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin, Darth Momin, Dr. Affer, Valance, Chanith Chow, Rick Duel, Commander Zara, the Taggies, or more collide during a grand Imperial event thrown by Palpatine. It's like, okay, never mind. Like, I was like really glad I read that because I was like, nah, okay, I'm totally not interested. Like, it's gonna be so stupid, and I want Star Wars to move forward with like some new stories, like new stories in the universe, new stories bridging the gaps. I know it's tough because you have like the films have laid down the groundwork, but dude, if they can do it with the Mandalorian, right? They pull out a whole new character. Here's a whole new story. Boom. Skeleton Crew, a whole new story. Boom. Do something like that, man. Like, I don't know. Or honestly, I would love to see, and I imagine you would too, have a series that's about Luke training, like Ben Solo and like those people. Like actually him like trying to get the Jedi Order up and going, like something focusing like just on that. I don't want to see Leia. I don't want to see any of these other assholes. Like just focus on Luke and the Jedi Order. Show us what happened with Ben Solo, because it seemed like in the movie Luke freaked out over nothing. Like he just like pulled the pin out of the grenade real quick. Like, okay, guy, you know.
Yeah, I think the problem is they can't go too far into the future, because you sent me that thing, like the new Star Wars, as we know, kind of the High Republic era is ending, right? There's going to be like not like I guess a fourth volume, but now it's the new Republic era, right? Now that's where we're at, right? We're in that era in the Disney Plus stuff. We're in that era in the comics now. We're post Return of the Jedi. We just had the Battle of Jakku, which is supposed to be the final battle that the Emperor, the Empire, and the Rebels fought, and now it's the New Republic era, which was an absolute terrible battle.
Horrible.
On paper. Horrible. On paper, it was terrible.
Made no sense. No sense. Everyone's like, "Oh, we're all fighting each other." Like, it was so stupid. And then there's a panel where that like she's like, "Oh, you're in a TIE fighter," which also I felt like let's talk about how stupid this was real quick. So there's a space battle. There's like 4 armies fighting each other, like the rebels against two different Empire teams up against each other, and then you had the smugglers in there too, the Spice Runners. And then at one point, Luke's friend, who unmemorable, was like, "Oh, is that you in the TIE Fighter?" Which in my mind, I was like, well, that's pretty short-sighted. Like, you're flying around in a TIE Fighter, and there's all these rebel dudes out here. Like, they're gonna blow you away. Anyway, she dies, blown up by I don't know who, I can't remember. And then it's just like, oh no, and like, oh no, that person who I've never met and I've never like I don't care who that person was. Like, it's just unmemorable is like the best way to describe it, I guess. Yeah.
It was supposed to be the whole thing. I felt like the battle should have been not in space, but whatever. It was just I don't know. I want to see. That's what I also want to see. Is it not just space battles? Like, I want to see land battles of.
Yeah, the final battle, it said like it still went on for a little while, right? And you saw like the AT-ATs like walking. You're like, oh, that kind of looks cool. Like, let's see some of those battles. But nope, just
nobody there. We're over.
Yeah,
the Empire's ended, and now we have the new Galactic Order and how it ends, and we get to see
Hux,
Ben. Like,
it showed Hux, it showed Ben being born. Lackluster. I'm
just kind of still confused of like what's going on in the background. Like, those two guys that are in like the cantina at the end.
Yeah,
they're still like, who are they playing? Like, who are they? But I guess we'll find out what happens in this new order. So that's it for comic book reviews. That's our episode this week. Again, we made the huge announcement, so make sure that you are following Uncensored Nerds Network, because that's where we'll be soon. We appreciate all of our listeners continuing, whether you're old, new, you've been here with us at the beginning. Again, this is not changing. It's going to be the same stuff, just somewhere else. So that's it for this week. And on our way out, make sure you check out our buddy over at Sidekick Supplies, who's I just got a new order this week that I just did a cool little reel for. Which I love their product. So that's it for this week, everybody. We'll catch you all very, very soon.
Later.
Hey, comic book collectors. Do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCom15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.